You have to listen really carefully because I say this pretty fast and hopefully I won't trip over my tongue. Once upon a time there was a teeny tiny woman. The teeny tiny woman lived in a teeny tiny house. And the teeny tiny woman one day decided to go for a teeny tiny walk. So the teeny tiny woman went outside her teeny tiny house and closed her teeny tiny door and walked through her teeny tiny gate. And then she walked down the teeny tiny road for a teeny tiny time. And after a teeny tiny while she came to a teeny tiny church. And she went into the teeny tiny church through the teeny tiny gate. And she went into the teeny tiny graveyard. And as she was walking through the teeny tiny graveyard, she came to a teeny tiny grave. And on top of the teeny tiny grave, she saw a teeny tiny bone. And she thought to herself, that teeny tiny bone would make some good teeny tiny soup. So she picked up the teeny tiny bone and she put it in her teeny tiny pocket. And she went and continued her teeny tiny walk. Well, after a teeny tiny time, she decided to return to a teeny tiny house. And when she got to her teeny tiny house, she walked through the teeny tiny gate and through the teeny tiny front door. Now she was feeling a teeny tiny bit tired after a teeny tiny walk. So she put the teeny tiny bone that she had put in her teeny tiny pocket in her teeny tiny cupboard. And she decided to go up her teeny tiny stairs to her teeny tiny bedroom to get into her teeny tiny bed to have a teeny tiny nap. Now, she laid down, and after a teeny tiny time, she fell asleep. But she wasn't asleep very long before she heard a teeny tiny voice say, "Give me my bone." So then she pulled the covers a teeny tiny bit up on herself and tried to go back to sleep. And after a teeny tiny while, she was awoken again by that same voice, only a teeny tiny bit louder, and it said, "Give me my bone." And the teeny tiny woman pulled the teeny tiny covers up a teeny tiny bit further. She was a teeny tiny bit more scared. And she tried to fall back to sleep, and after a teeny tiny time, she did fall back to sleep. Well, after a teeny tiny while, she was awoken again, and this time the teeny tiny voice was a teeny tiny bit louder and said, "Give me my bone." So the teeny tiny woman sat up quickly in bed and said, "Take it!" And that's the story of the teeny tiny woman.